Hello, and welcome to the Budget Knitter Podcast. My name is WSpargurKnits. I am your host. I am coming to you from Henderson, Nevada, where I live with my two dogs, and today is episode 34. This is probably backwards. I'm not paying attention. It's episode 34. It is the first podcast since I have been back from Stitches West, which means we have a few things to cover, and it's going to be awesome. I will do my recap of Stitches West towards the end of the podcast, but first thing I needed to say is welcome to all of the new subscribers. I don't know what happened, but in literally less than 12 hours, I've gained 100 new subscribers. I'm pretty sure I know where all that came from, but regardless, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I couldn't be happier. I am so thrilled that you are joining me here. So I really actually need to thank the grocery girls, Tracy and Jody. I met Tracy at Stitches West, and she mentioned me on her podcast, and there's going to be more about that information later in the podcast. But I'm just so happy you're here. Thank you all for joining me. For those of you who are new, because there are quite a few of you, you can find me on Ravelry as WSpargurKnits. You can find me on Instagram as WillMSU. You can find me on Facebook, or this group on Facebook, as facebook.com/thebudgetknitter. I'm also on Twitter as WSpargurKnits, but I don't really put anything on there. It's mostly just everything that goes to Instagram. There is a Ravelry group for this podcast, which is the Budget Knitter Podcast. You can search that in Ravelry. And what are my other socials? I forgot. Anyway, in Ravelry, there's actually a thread going on right now for those of you who are new. There's something that I love to do on this channel, which is to do the finished objects of and whatever year we're in. So last year was the first year we did it, and it was the finished objects of 2018. It was a celebration of just all of the finished objects that we do throughout the year. We do now have the finished objects of 2019 thread open. It has been open for a couple of weeks, and some of you have already posted it in there, so thank you for all of you who have been going in there and posting your finished objects. That's awesome. I am so bad at keeping up with Ravelry. I have finished so many objects and not taken a single picture or put it in Ravelry. It's kind of embarrassing. Ravelry doesn't really facilitate any help to me in any sort of way for getting anything done. So it's more of a place I go to look for patterns, and that's really about it. But I do love to have that thread in there. I love to see what you guys are making. And again, for those of you who are new, there's no prize or anything associated with this thread. It is simply, hey, I finished something. Here's a picture of it. Here's what I made it out of. Here's who I made it for. It's just a celebration of finishing objects throughout the year from January 1st to December 31st. It's a beautiful thing where we come together and just congratulate people on finishing something. I really enjoy it. I have found several patterns through that thread that I've wanted to end up knitting and are in my queue. So I like to keep that going. So the finished objects of 2019 thread is open and ready. Go find it at the Budget Knitter Podcast group on Ravelry. With that, I also have my yarn dyeing business. Some of you know, some of you don't. For those of you who are new, I'm assuming if you came from the Grocery Girls, you would know that I also dye yarn. That is Spargur Yarn Co. You can also find all of the links for that company in the video description box below. There's the website, there's the email, there's the Instagram for that as well. There's probably a Facebook, well, I know there's a Facebook page. There's maybe another social thing. I don't even remember all of the links that I have for all of the different things that I try to keep up with. But you guys make this all happen, and so I'm really happy to be sharing this with you. For those of you who are new, I keep saying that because it's so true. Here's kind of how we do things on this podcast. I go straight into my works in progress and finished objects. We cover some things. Maybe I've got some new items that I've got in my stash or whatnot. Or if there's just something fiber related I want to talk about that's not necessarily the objects, that comes next, and then followed by any life updates I may have. I do that so that if you get through all the knitting portion and you're ready to go watch somebody else do with whatever they do with their finished objects, then you can cut right out after that. So I kind of set it up so that you can see the most interesting thing first, and if you like to stick around, I'm happy to have you stick around. If you don't, I have no hard feelings. So let's just jump right in. I have a few works in progress that I'm really excited about. So let's start with, oh goodness. I don't know if you can see my bed, but my bed is covered in all kinds of stuff. Let's start with an old work in progress that I've had on the needles for a while. I did a little bit of work on it. By a little bit of work, it feels like a lot more work than it ended up being. But this is the sweater that I'm doing. This is the Incredible Custom Fit Top-Down Raglan by Pamela Costello. I am knitting this in I Love This yarn from Hobby Lobby. I actually went to Hobby Lobby and found this yarn. They still make this colorway. I was really surprised. I didn't grab it, and I don't remember the name of it, but I found it. It was there, and I was really excited because I was like, hey, maybe I don't have to do the sleeves in another color, but I'm going to because why not? Anyway, I've been knitting this for a while. It's on US 8s. If you're unfamiliar with the pattern, it's basically just a bunch of math. So if you don't like math, don't do this one. But it's great if you're trying to make a sweater that fits you perfectly, because you can put in all of your measurements, and the pattern does a great job of figuring out exactly how many stitches you need to start with, how far you need to knit, how many increases you need to do. It really builds all of it, and it's great so that if you wanted to throw a cable pattern in there, you do a gauge swatch for the cable pattern, and then you can input that gauge, and so it really does build it so that you can build any sweater in any pattern. It's really great. I've been working on this for a while. This is definitely a worsted weight yarn. It's 100% acrylic, super soft though, super soft and squishy. I love this. I love the Fair Isle kind of esque pattern that it's building. These stripes are just so cute. And being in the desert, this is like the perfect set of colors for where I live. So I could not be more pleased with how this is knitting up. If you've never knit a sweater before, I don't recommend this pattern because you are going to want to know a little bit about sweater construction before doing this. So if you were going to do a first sweater, I would recommend Flax by Tin Can Knits. That's a great way to get started. And then this would be a great second one because you can do it all in stockinette, or if you wanted to add a pattern, you could. I haven't gotten as far as I would like. I'm still, the sleeve end is here. I'm maybe 6 to 8 inches down. I've got quite a ways to go. So what I'm doing is I'm actually laying it with one of the flax sweaters I've knit, because I've knit 2 of them. I'm laying it on top of as I continue to go. I'm not really doing all this measuring thing. I've found that it's just really easy for me to knit a little bit, lay it down on top of a sweater that I finished before that I know fits and fits well, and I'll just lay it on top of that, see how much further I need to go, and just keep going. And that's basically how I'm gauging how much to do on this. So it's going really well. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be quite a while before I finish it. Recently, I've started taking the projects that I'm working on, and I rank them by things I need to get done sooner versus later, and this is at the bottom of the list because I'm not doing it for anything, because I've got some designing work that I'm working on, and I've got a few things for people that I promised for a while that I'm working on as well. Those of you who have watched the podcast know kind of a lot of the things that I work on and the things that I do for other people. So this is really just on the back burner, but I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping to have it done by this winter. Las Vegas doesn't have winter. I'm hoping to have it done by next year. We'll see. Probably not. I will probably still be showing this in 2 years. Anyway, so we're going to stuff that back in this bag. If you've never been to my channel before, so a lot of the projects that I do are in very commonly found store-bought yarns from Walmart, Michaels, Joann's, and Hobby Lobby. I try to stay impartial with all of those stores. I know that there are people who will not shop at Hobby Lobby for whatever reason, and I have my own reasons for not wanting to go to Hobby Lobby, but I do try to remain impartial. I know that there are some people that only live near a Hobby Lobby, so I'm trying to go to those places and find really cool yarns maybe that I haven't used, or I try to review a lot of things. So, if you're a little confused as to why I'm using a lot of acrylic yarns, it's because, one, I love acrylic yarns. I have absolutely nothing, I have no problem with acrylic yarns. I love them. Second of all, they just fit within my budget. But that being said, I do also use nicer yarns. One thing I like to stress on this channel is that being on a budget doesn't mean you're cheap, it just means you're smart. Sometimes, everybody wants nice things, and if you do it smartly, there's no reason why you can't have nice things. So I like to show a little bit of both. Actually, I like to show a lot of cheap stuff. I like to show a lot of, not cheap. I like to show a lot of affordable things, and then I like to have some of the nice stuff too. Next work in progress. One of these is only going to make sense if you see a finished object. I might skip a work in progress. Let's go to, this is a design that I am working on, and I'm hoping you're going to be able to see the pattern, but because it doesn't come out well in pictures, but it comes out pretty well in real life. So there's a design I'm doing. I've been working on the idea for a while, and I actually have a finished kind of mock-up to show you. Anyway, I had this idea for this cowl that I really liked, and it just had a simple V pattern in it, and the V would appear, it would grow, and there'd be multiple V's going up the side of it every 10 or every 20 rounds or so. And I had this idea, and I was working on it at Stitches West, and I was doing it in Lion Brand Mandala, because I had an extra ball of that lying around. And I ran into Chris Balls, B-A-H-L-S, Chris Balls. He's at the Knitting Tree LA. I think that's right, Knitting Tree LA. And he also has his own dye studio, which is Left Coast Dye Works. Left Coast Dye Works, great place. Anyway, he saw the design I was working on. I said, it's not complete. I don't think it's not exactly what I want yet. It's definitely I'll show it to you. It's weird. But I was kind of explaining my ideas for how I wanted the finished design to look and what I was thinking for that. And he goes, hey, I have a yarn I would love for you to do that in. Will you take this and do that cowl pattern in it? So he did, and first of all, I want to say that this yarn is amazing. The dye technique he uses, I have no idea what it is. It's incredible, and I don't even think that it's something you can visibly see on camera. This is something you would probably have to see in person. That being said, I've got it here, and I'm only about halfway done. I'm really hoping you can see what I'm trying to accomplish here. But this is the yarn. It's absolutely gorgeous. I cannot get enough of this yarn. The speckles, the colors, everything that is in this is just, it's to die for. I don't know how he did this. And I told him at Stitches West, like, I will make it my life's goal to figure out how you did this, because this is just incredible. So this is fingering weight yarn. It is about 435 yards per skein, and it should only take one skein of yarn. I'm really hoping that it's only going to be one skein. It looks like it will be. So it's knit on US 5s in fingering weight, so it is a little loose, but it's going to plump up when I block it and put, some wool wash in it. But the V pattern is on both sides, so the idea is that there's decreases followed by a yarn over increase, and so the V keeps going, and so as it'll meet, the increases will meet on either side, and that's when I'll decide to do the ribbing on the top. So I'm working on that. This isn't an easy pattern to write because every row is different. There's not really a good repeat section because of the way it continues to grow. So I have to write 2 rows out, knit it, write the next 2 rows, knit it, write the next 2 rows. And that is actually really helping me make sure that I'm getting all of the math correct, because then I write it out, I knit the 2 rows, and I do all of the meticulous, like I count out loud and make sure I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm really hoping this is going to help me avoid having to need test knitters, only because he wants this for the LA yarn crawl, which is in less than a month. So I don't really have time for test knitters. I actually would like to have this done in a week so that I can get it to him, get it sent to him. I'm probably not even going to have pictures. I'm literally just going to send him a PDF of the pattern and ship him the sample and be like, here, I don't have time to test knit this. I hope somebody there will. The great thing is there's not a lot of crazy techniques. It's knit 2 togethers, slip slip knits, yarn overs, knit and purl. That's really all there is to the whole pattern. So other than making sure that you're counting the right number of knits, which I'm doing as I'm writing the pattern, it's really not that hard. So I'm really confident that I won't need test knitters. Fingers crossed. Anyway, so that is it. That is the yarn from Left Coast Dye Works. I cannot get enough of this yarn. And Chris is such an amazing person. He has like that awesome handlebar mustache. It is iconic, and I love it, and he is amazing. So yes, that is this cowl, and this is going to be called the Vector Cowl, and so I will have that as a pattern very soon, I hope. The other idea is if I can perfect this and get it exactly the way I want it, I would love to do a shawl, a hat, and some mitts, and maybe even a scarf, and release it all as like a whole collection. So that's an idea. It's to come. I'll let you know how that goes. So we're going to pack that up. And I've got a couple others in terms of finished objects. A lot of this it's born from having been at Stitches West. So kind of running out of how to do this in a chronological order. Anyway, let me show you another thing. Actually, no. Actually, okay, yeah, fine. So I met Marley Bird, the national spokesperson of Red Heart. Amazing person, by the way. Love her. So I told her a little bit about what this channel is and what I like to do, and they actually wanted me to review some of their yarns. And I told them one of the things that I love to do when I'm reviewing a yarn on this channel is to make something out of the yarn so that I have a really good idea about how it works up, how I like using it, if there's anything about it that I do and don't like. It just gives me a really good, what do they say? It gives me good authority on whether or not I like the yarn. You know, more than just a simple, oh, I saw this and I like it. It's I've used it, here's what I think about it. So she gave me 3 different yarns. The first is Red Heart Huga. By the way, there is a review coming of all 3 of these yarns that she gave me. I have one of them going up soon. Is it up yet? Ooh. Did I film? I know I filmed it. Where is it? Oh, God. Mental note. Check for that video. Anyway, Red Heart Huga. This is great. I'm not really going to give the specs on it right now because there is going to be a whole video coming on this later. But Red Heart Huga, great, great, great. I'm using this in the project I'm about to show you. So, I gotta move some things. I am doing, well, so for the first time in my life, I am crocheting cables. I've never crocheted cables before, and I've seen it done, and I wanted to try it, and since she gave me enough yarn to make a little lap gan, I decided that this was going to be the time. So I am making a gorgeous crochet cable lap gan. I'm calling it the 330 cabled Afghan. Yeah, 330 cabled Afghan. Because there are 3 sets of 30 stitches for a total of 90 stitches. So 330 lapgan. Anyway, I'm doing this on a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. I believe that is a USK. I don't know letters. It's funny. Crochet hooks, I know millimeters. Needles, I know US sizes. I don't know why I keep doing that, but that's how it works. So I'm doing this on a 6.5 millimeter hook, and it is gorgeous. I am 3 of 9 balls in, so this will be about 88, 89 stitches long. I may go get another ball just to make it a little bit longer, because it'll be just shy of being tall enough to cover my feet all the way up to my neck. And I'm not that tall. So, anyway, working on this. This is so soft. I love it so much. Yeah. Again, there's going to be a review on this when I'm done with the blanket, which shouldn't really take me that long. There's some things that are kind of in the way of getting a whole lot done right now, but this really only took me about a week, so I'm expecting I should have it done by the end of March, if I'm diligent. So I have that. Then I have 2 more things. 2 more works in progress. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show this, but it'll make more sense later. So, there is this crocheted thing I'm working on. Oh, did I pull that out? Oh, no. Good. Okay. So this is being done on a 4.5 millimeter hook. This is going to be a part of, I've written a pattern, and I'm going to show it to you here in a minute, But it's for a cowl that you crochet flat, add a border, and then the way you wear it is really cool, and I'll show that to you. This is Shawl in a Cake from Lion Brand in the colorway Moonstone, I think is what it is. So it's a really cool gradient yarn, but it's also got tinsel in there, so it's really sparkly. I love sparkles. Anyway, so I'm working on this, and it's kind of a, because I've done a few of these already, so it's kind of a just do it as I don't have anything else to work on, which means that it's not being worked on because I have a lot to work on. But it is really fun. It's basically just half double crochets, and then for the eyelets I'm doing treble crochet chain one, and then on the way back I'm doing an offset treble crochet chain one. So treble crochet in the chain one spaces of the previous round, so it builds up a little differently, but it's really fun, it's really simple, and it is a pattern. This is kind of a modification, but I have written a pattern for this, and it's for worsted weight. This is more of a like a sport weight, but really fun. I'm hoping to have this done, I don't know, whenever, but this is the rest of the cake. So it's a really fun gradient. I'm enjoying using it. I just anyway, it is what it is, and it's in this bag that I got from my friend Kathy. Her cousin made it. Actually, there's some stuff in here I need to pull out. Yep, there we go. Okay. Oop, sorry, babies. My dogs are back here. I don't know if you can see them. I just accidentally hit one with the project bag. Last work in progress. For those of you who have watched the podcast before, you've seen this project, but you haven't seen it recently. I was doing the Make Your Own Luck shawl by Lisa Ross, who is Paper Daisy Creations on Instagram, and I was doing it with Sin City Yarns. We have Sin City Knit Shop here in Las Vegas, and we also have Mad Knitters Yarn. I go to Mad Knitters Yarn, but before I moved into Henderson, and I lived actually in Las Vegas proper, I went to Sin City Yarns, and I got some of those, some of the like in-store hand-dyeds gifted to me, and I was knitting this pattern with those, but the twist on those yarns was so tight that the yarn just hurt to knit with. It was rubbing my fingers raw. It hurt so much. So I ripped it out, and I have put the yarn somewhere where I haven't gotten rid of it, but it is probably lost. That is only... I'm gonna have to be desperate to use that again. It hurt. It caused physical pain, so I had to rip it out and start over. So I picked a few other yarns. If you're unfamiliar with this pattern, it's this gorgeous pattern. My printer's not in color. I'm so sorry. It's this gorgeous shawl that is supposed to use a 10 mini skein rainbow set with a gray neutral to create this really cool shawl. But I didn't have 10 mini skeins, and I didn't want to buy 10 mini skeins, so I found one neutral and 3 skeins of yarn that I already had. And since you only need 900 yards of fingering weight yarn and 1 skein of 460 yards for the neutral, 3 skeins pretty much covers that. 3 just regular fingering weight skeins covers that. So that's what I'm using. So let me show you. Okay. Here is how we're going. This is so much different than what you guys saw the first time. If you remember last time, it was like orange, maroon, and a weird kind of pale yellow with like a dark black and gray neutral. So I've actually switched up, and I'm using the neutral, which is this white and with some gray and some yellow and purple speckles, is the Knit Picks Sock Lab yarn. At Stitches SoCal, they had so when they're like testing a colorway, they call it their sock lab, and when they decide that they don't want to do that, they sell it at cost. So it's an $8 skein of yarn. So that's what I'm using for the neutral. It's actually 461 yards, so it's perfect. Then this maroon here, or this kind of like, yeah, it's maroon, is Miss Crosby. Oh, yeah. Miss Crosby Loves to Play. And it is Hollywood Cerise. I bought this. It's Superwash Merino Silk and Cashmere. Ooh, that's why I love it so much. I didn't look at it. I just picked colors. I picked this up at Magpie Yarns in Lexington, Kentucky when I went last year. So this has been sitting in my stash for a little bit, but I grabbed it and I loved this, and so I'm using it for this. And that's this dark maroon color. This purple up here is 100% alpaca. And it is Juniper Moon Farm Harriot Fine. Oh, sorry, it is 75% alpaca, 25% polyamide, which is nylon. So that, I'm using that. They actually say it's a lace weight, but it's not. But I'm using that for this nice solid purple up here. And this one here in the middle, that is my own personal hand-dyed. I am actually using my own personal hand-dyed for once. It is my colorway Dutch Tulips, and it is on a merino cashmere nylon base. It is an 80-10-10 MCN. I decided that it would pair perfectly with that maroon and that purple and that beautiful neutral, which had the speckles, which had several of the other colors in it. So it is pairing perfectly. I am so excited to be using it on this shawl. If you are interested in that colorway, it is available at Spargur Yarn Co. Or, excuse me, not Co. SpargurYarn.com. Link in the video description box below if you're interested in that colorway. I do have limited quantities available because it was kind of an experimental colorway, but people seem to like it. But it is available there if you want it. And there's also, if you check in the video description box below, a coupon code for you guys only. It is not on Instagram. It is not on the subscribing mailing list because you can subscribe to the mailing list for Spargur Yarn Co. It is specifically for you guys if you want it. It is 20% off. The code is in the video description box below. Only because I haven't made it yet. It's on my list of things to do when I'm done filming. But it's in the video description box below. You can use that code. Any one of you subscribers to the YouTube channel. I am so sorry. I am burping. It is like the end of the night. And every time I breathe heavily, I just end up burping. Anyway. Code is in the video description box below. It is for all of you wonderful YouTube subscribers, for all of your amazing support, so go and check it out. Anyway, that is the Make Your Own Luck shawl by Lisa Ross. It is amazing. I'm doing it as a knit-along with my friend Rafa, my friend Izzy, and our friend Steve of Leading Men Fiber Arts. Yes, I'm friends with somebody famous now. Anyway, so we're doing that together. Everybody is way ahead of me right now. Well, Izzy's not, because, hey, Izzy, start yours already. But I'm pretty sure Rafa's almost done. And I don't know where Steve is, because Steve is constantly traveling for shows, so he's probably knitting it in the car, but I don't know. Anyway, that was my last finished object. No, excuse me, work in progress. I am all over the place. Okay, finished objects. Let's do that now. Okay, let me show you the first vector cowl iteration thing. Nope. There's 2 projects in here. Didn't realize I'd done that. Here is what this looks like. As you can see, this is way too effing tall. It's more like a snood, or, I don't know, a bank robber's mask. Anyway, so just imagine this V pattern, but also on the other side, so that it ends up being half as tall. That's the idea. Yeah. Ooh, fun fact, I learned a new bind-off. It is the yarn over bind-off that I use for my socks, but I did it with a crochet hook, y'all. That was fun. Oh god, my Kentucky's coming back. No offense to anyone who lives in Kentucky. I'm from Kentucky. I worked really hard to get rid of my southern drawl, because I was getting made fun of for it. Anyway, so I did a yarn over bind off with a crochet hook. I love this. I didn't actually finish. This could have gone for a while longer. Again, this is supposed to connect before I do the ribbing on the other one. So this isn't even a full representation of how tall this would have been if I had kept going. Anyway, this was the original idea. I decided that this was too blank, and so now I'm doing it on both sides. This is actually a DK weight instead of a fingering weight, so it's a little bit taller, a little bit thicker, and I also knit this on US 7s instead of US 5s, so this is also not an accurate representation of what I was after. But anyway, working on it, it's very fun. It is finished. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's probably going to sit in my stash of things you finished that are kind of eh. Anybody else have one of those? Like I finished it, eh. Because I definitely have like 3 stacks of that stuff. Okay, so let me show you this WA cowl. This is the first one I did, and this was in Premier Sweet Roll. That's what this one was done in. I wasn't really thinking when I made this. I was just like, oh, I'm going to crochet some stuff. And that was because of the new hooks I have, which I'm going to show you later. Anyway, so basically the way you wear this is instead of, so you've got the top edge and across to the top edge, and there's a loop, which is just some chain stitches on this side. And so instead of folding it like in half, you go to the bottom corner here, which is the far corner from the loop, and, oops, folded it the wrong way, or the way I like. So then you fold it in half, so it creates this W. You see that? So here's the loop. Fold across the long diagonal to the tip. So it creates this W from the way it's overlapped, which is where WA comes from. WA is Spanish for W. At least it's Spanish for W in the Spanish that I learned in high school. So then what you do is you take this tip and this loop, and you would wrap it around your neck. Sorry, that probably hit my mic. You wrap it around your neck and you insert this through here, and you tighten as much as you want, and then tuck in your back. So what ends up happening is you have one triangle that's hanging like down in front like a shawl would, and then this one hangs like over your shoulder. So it's a really cool asymmetrical kind of modern look. I loved doing it in this really neutral color, so it's great for people who are erring on the more masculine side, but you can do it in anything, just like this yarn that I'm about to show you. This is Red Heart Colorscape, and there's an end to weave in because I'm lazy. Red Heart Colorscapes, I used 1.5 balls to make this one. This is the pattern I'm going to be releasing. Super simple. It's just half doubles, doubles, and singles, and chains. It's so simple, and it's so great and so much fun. It's the exact same idea. You just take that long diagonal, fold it across, insert the tip through the hole, and pull tight. As tight as you want, or as loose as you want. You can have it loose if you like. And then it just wears like that. It's so much fun. It's so cute. I really enjoyed writing this up. And I want to thank Marley Bird for encouraging me to use this yarn. This is another one of the yarns that she encouraged me to try and gave me to review from Stitches West. This is all I have left. So yeah, very fun. There's also a review of this yarn coming soon with this cowl, so you'll see more about it. That is all of my finished objects. So if you are kind of done and all you wanted to see was the projects, you can skadooch, and no hard feelings here. I'm glad that you came and stayed for that much. I actually kind of talked a lot more than I anticipated. Anyway, if you want to stick around, this is where I'm going to do, I'm going to show you some of the new stuff from my shop, my dye stuff. So you guys, I mentioned Dutch tulips. This is Dutch tulips. Beautiful yellows, a nice deep aubergine purple, and then some pink speckles to round it all out. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous colorway. I have this right now currently, currently on merino cashmere nylon. I can do it on a sock base. I just don't have any currently available. They're actually at my local yarn store because she bought some of them for the shop. So that is Dutch tulips, gorgeous colorway. I'm really happy that I decided to experiment and try something new, because this is what came of that. Another new one. I forgot to grab it. There's another one called Radioactive Rose Garden, and that is a beautiful antique mauve, aubergine, and then it's speckled with like fluorescent orange and green. And so that one's really fun. That's also available on the shop. Really fun, very popular, and so that's available as well. And the last one is this. We haven't named it. It is unnamed, and at the time that this podcast goes up, we should be very close to announcing the name of it. I had posted a picture on my Instagram with this colorway, and we are running something right now called You Name It, You Claim It. So people are commenting their name for this yarn on the Spargur Yarn Co. Instagram. And on the 10th, the 10th of March, I will go through. I will pick the name that is my favorite, and that person who has the honor of naming this colorway will receive a skein of this yarn in the mail, completely free to them. So we are having a little bit of fun with that. This is a beautiful Kelly green with some orange and purple speckles. There have been some great names like Frankenstein or Frankenskein. There's been Ectoplasm, Necromancy, Alchemy. There's been Slimer from Ghostbusters. But like 18 people have put that, and I feel like it wouldn't be fair to try to, like, because I can't pick one of you. I guess I could do whoever did first. Anyway, there are so many really great ones out there, and I mean, Slimer's great, but I'm also not a huge Ghostbusters fan. Well, not the old one anyway. But it's a great name, and it really does, because I know who Slimer is. That's actually a really great name for this. So again, up in the air, haven't decided what I'm going to pick yet. I'm going to have to go through Instagram and Facebook. People have been commenting on the Facebook one too. So I'm going to have to type out all of the names, because it's easier to look at them in a list. And then I will narrow it down, and then I might actually have us vote on one. But anyway, that being said, this is currently unnamed, but after we get a name, it will be... If people like it, it'll be available in the shop. A lot of people seem to really be liking this color, so I'm excited about that. Moving on, that's kind of all of the yarn stuff. Now we're going to talk about stitches and some of the stuff I got there. But if you're not interested in that, again, feel free to go watch another creator and see what they've got in their stash or in their queue. But we're going to continue. So, Stitches West, amazing. I could talk for hours about all of the awesome things that went down at Stitches West. But we don't have time for that because I think my phone is dying. Anyway, so the highlight of the trip for me was two things. One, I met Tracy of the Grocery Girls. She's amazing. She is so cute in person. I was so happy to meet her. And I gave her a skein of my yarn. So if you watched the Grocery Girls podcast, you saw that skein of yarn that she picked. I had taken a few different colorways with me and let her pick which one she would like to keep. And she was just so amazing, and I really want to thank Tracy and Jody for their shout out on their podcast. That was amazing. I literally cried tears of happiness because it's just so cool to see them being so supportive, because I didn't ask them to show it on the podcast or anything. I was just like, Tracy, I would love for you to have this yarn, because Jody couldn't go, but I was like, Tracy, I would love for you to have this yarn, and I just told her a little bit about what I do and this podcast, and then she decided to talk about it. So I'm so thrilled that she thought so much of me to include me in her podcast. So thank you, Tracy and Jody, for including me. It was incredible. Second highlight was meeting all of the amazing vendors and seeing so much more, not to start a fire, much more diversity than I saw at SoCal. There were so many BIPOC people, that's Black, Indigenous, people of color, three separate groups, Black, Indigenous, people of color. There were so many more people there, and it was so beautiful. And there were people who, the vendors on their name badges would put their preferred pronouns, her, she, or he, him, his, and just to see that solidarity and acceptance, and to know that a lot of this is because of the conversations that have been happening. It was just a really beautiful thing. And for a lot of people who think I'm about to leap into that conversation, I don't have anything to say about that at the moment. Reason for that being, I don't know enough about it. I don't have any kind of authoritative voice in this way. What I'm doing right now is I am listening, I'm learning, I'm educating myself, and I am allowing people to tell their story. If or when it becomes appropriate for me to make a statement, I will. At this point in time, I'm just saying that it was beautiful to see so many different people at this show, and to just have everybody come together and to just enjoy the craft. It was beautiful. I do know there was an incident that happened there. I don't know a whole lot about it, so I know it wasn't great for everyone. And I hear that, and I understand, and I hope that will not happen again. If you don't know, I don't want to recap it because I'm not exactly clear on the details, but there was an incident, and it's unfortunate, and it's sad, and it shouldn't have happened, and that's all I'm going to say on it. What else? Oh, okay, so that being said, I went to Stitches West. For those of you who don't know, I wasn't originally going to be able to go. And then I was encouraged to go, and my grandparents decided to, for lack of a better term, foot the bill. And I could not be more grateful for them. I texted my grandmother. She was in Norway, so it was hard to get a hold of her. But she texted me today, so I told her today, like, thank you so much. You have no idea what this means to me. Like, this from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for allowing me to go on this trip. And but beyond that, I was on a very, very, very tight budget. And again, being on a budget doesn't mean that you're cheap. It just means that you're smart. So I couldn't do like I had done with Stitches SoCal, which was drop a bunch of money, which was not smart. This time I went with a plan. I could buy two skeins of yarn. I had 2 skeins of yarn that I would allow myself to buy. The first one was to buy a fiber I've never used, and the second was to buy from business I've never supported before. So the first thing I got was this. This is from Skano. I met April. April is amazing. And her husband, they bought this company. It was a European company, I believe. And they had to like ship the entire stock to her house in California. So she's got like 3 garages and storage units full of yarn. Anyway, so at the show, she had this beautiful basket of sock yarn for $12. And this is a Corriedale sock yarn. The colorway is La Traviata. It is 435 yards, and it is 100% superwash Corriedale wool. If you're unfamiliar with Corriedale, it is a type of sheep. It is a very sturdy wool. So it's not incredibly soft. It's not like merino. It's not soft, but it's very sturdy, very hard-wearing, great for socks. This is the perfect sock yarn. So I picked this up. It was $12. Could not be happier with this. Also, who doesn't want yarn that comes in like this fancy pouch? Like, it literally sits in here until I decide to wind it up to actually knit with it. So, Corriedale yarn, that was my fiber I've never used. The second thing I bought was from a business I've never supported before. This was Laser Sheep Yarns, and all of her colorways have something to do with sheep. Her like most popular and kind of her staple is called Sheepicorn. This one was the show exclusive colorway based on the cover of the second Harry Potter book, The Chamber of Secrets, and it's called Chamber of Sheep. And she had a copy of the book there, so you could actually see the inspiration for the color. It was beautiful. I had to pick it up. So this was the business I've never supported before. That is Laser Sheep Yarns. I believe they are also local to Orange County, or she. I think it's just one person. I think she is local to Orange County, California. It is a 75% superwash merino wool, 25% nylon, 463 yards for 100 grams. Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. I did pick up a couple other things that I wanted to show you, though. One of the ones, actually, I don't have them because they're actually attached to a bag that's at work. But I had bought unicorn stitch markers and a Knit Flicks and Chill pin from Yarn Snobs, and they're Yarn Snobs on Instagram as well. They're a cute little shop. I met the two of them. Adorable. They had actually messaged me on Instagram like, hey, we're in this booth. You should come see us while you're here. And I did, and their stitch markers and pins are absolutely gorgeous. That's Yarn Snobs on Instagram. Check them out. They're awesome. But I don't have those on me. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I bought a mini skein from Leading Men Fiber Arts. This is Trapdoor. Anytime I see Steve and Andy, I try to buy a little bit from them. If y'all remember, I was their featured designer for SoCal, so now I try to give back to them and to thank them for the opportunity. I do try to buy from them every time I see them. Oh. It's like, what am I looking for? Great invention. I love this. I was sold in 2 minutes. It's called the Winderful. It is a solution if you don't have a ball winder. But if you have a Swift and a drill, this is perfect. It is a flexible spool, and the kit comes with 2 of these and an adapter which goes on your drill. You put the spool on your adapter, you put your yarn on your Swift, you wrap the yarn around a couple times, and this band holds it in place, and then you just drill it onto here. You don't get yarn barf, you don't get tangles. It's flexible, so as you have less yarn, it'll fit in smaller spaces and compress down. This was incredible. I bought it. I definitely had to have it. It was $40, but you get 2 of them, and I actually am using one of them right now, and this one is actually going to be used for a project that I have planned, but I'm not ready to wind the yarn yet, so I'm saving it because I know what I want to use this for. Now, if you have a project that requires 5 or 6, you would have to buy extra spools, and they do sell extra spools, but if you're just somebody who kind of works on one project at a time and you only need 1 or 2 balls of yarn wound up, perfect. This is incredible. Go to thewinderful.com and see the videos on how to use this object. It's incredible, and I love using mine. Okay, so for those of you who wanted to stick through all of the fiber-related stuff and don't want to stick around for the life updates, this is where we can say goodbye, and I want to thank you for joining me. For those of you who want to stick around, I don't have a lot, but I do have a few things that are kind of weighing on me, and I just kind of want to get it off my chest. You guys have been some of the most supportive people in my life, and I feel like I can be real with you guys. I try not to hide anything, just because what's the use of doing that? Oh yeah, real quick. The third yarn I got from Marley Bird, Chic Sheep. She gave me 4 balls of Chic Sheep, which is their Red Hearts Merino wool. Yeah, so sorry for those of you who already left. There's going to be a review on this later. Afterthought, sorry. Okay, so I've been battling a lot of my depression and anxiety. It's been flaring up really bad lately. And a lot of it has to do with work. We've been given a lot to do, and it just seems like the more we do, the more we get asked to do, and it's come to a point where it's almost unmanageable now. And so even today we had a meeting about, like, here's this audit we have to run because some executive VP isn't happy with how it's showing up. So for those of you who don't know, I work for a rental property company, and I work in our marketing department, and one of the things that my team is in charge of is making sure all of our photos are correct on our website. Well, from there, we partner with like Zillow and Trulia and Rentals.com and Homes.com and Hotpad and, you know, all of those third-party places, except for Craigslist. We don't do Craigslist anymore. We partner with all of those places, and so they'll pull from our ads once they're up on our website. And recently, one of the VPs was doing an audit of Zillow and was sending emails like, hey, these are upside down and they're not even the right house. What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And it finally got to like the 3rd email, and he's like, somebody over there needs to do their job better. And that was yesterday. and I pretty much lost it. So that wasn't fun. And then today we come in and we're being told by our other boss, like, that's just how he talks. You can't be offended by it. That's just how he talks. And I just looked at my boss, my direct supervisor, and I said, I don't care how far up the chain you are. You don't talk to people like that, especially in an email. You just don't do that to people. Especially when you don't know what... You've never been over here. You've never met a single one of us. You don't know what it is our department does. You are the VP of a completely different aspect of the company. So whatever you're telling us to do, we're not in charge of Zillow. We don't do anything with Zillow. Zillow is in charge of Zillow. If you have a problem, contact Zillow. So now we have to go through and we have to audit all... So the only problems we're having are for new construction properties. So our company is also building new homes as well as buying them. So we had to audit 200 brand new homes on 6 sites, and it was so in-depth. Like, we had to put off all of our other work, and the problem with putting off all of our other work is we're months behind on all of our other work, and they won't hire anybody else. We hired a temp, and they're like, if the temp doesn't have it in 90 days, well, you had her for 90 days, that's all you get. And we're like, you're not paying us more. You're asking us 3 times the amount of work than what we were doing 6 months ago for no extra money. You won't hire new people, and now you're getting mad at us for things that aren't our responsibility. And I
don't know that one.
Sorry, my Echo got mad at me. So today we had to have a meeting about doing this audit, and I couldn't keep it together. And I just remained as silent as I could after a couple of questionable comments. Not like HR questionable, just like really negative. And after the rest of the team left after the meeting, my supervisor was like, hey, stay in here, what's wrong? Like, can we just, like, what's going on? Why are you so stressed? And this is a person I trust. I trust her probably as much as I trust my own mother. And I broke down. I couldn't hold it anymore. I had like a full-on mental breakdown, and I'm not proud of it, and it sucks because we had people touring that day. So like while I'm sitting in this massive conference room bawling my eyes out, people are coming by and getting a tour of the building, and so it was embarrassing, and it really sucked. It just, today was not a good day, and I've done everything I can since getting home from work to try and make it a good day. I've ate a little healthier. I've dyed some yarn today. I'm filming this podcast, which is actually helping quite a bit. I've tagged a lot of yarn. I've packed up 4 orders today. In the month and a half I've been at this job, I've never once woken up saying I don't want to go to work. And after the emails we got yesterday, I woke up this morning saying I didn't want to go to work. And then the entire time I was at work, I contemplated leaving several times. So, that's all off my chest. Things are going to get better. Things are going to get better. I bought Thin Mints. Thin Mints make everything better. So, not to end on a sour note, but it just feels really good to get that off my chest. Alright, so there will be new videos coming to the channel very soon. I'm going to do some more reviews. There's a tutorial I need to film. We are still going to do the sock along, I promise. There's just so much going on right now. But we are going to do it. I've got a list of things that I need to plan and need to film, and don't worry, they're coming. The more time I can schedule to work and be efficient when I get home from work, the more that I will get done. So, if you've been waiting for that, I'm sorry that you've had to wait, but I promise it is coming. Just please be patient. Anyway, I have a lot to do still, so I'm going to go. But I want to thank all of you for joining me here at the Budget Knitter Podcast, and I hope for those of you that are new that I didn't scare you off, and you will come back and continue to be a part of what I tried to do here on this channel. So thank you. I will see you again very soon here on the Budget Knitter Podcast channel. Thanks. Bye.